Good AI morning, Islanders. Today's video, we're going to be correcting the inconsistent data you see right behind me. So sit back, relax, with your favorite snack, and let's get started, shall we? When trying to correct inconsistent data within your data set, there's a high possibility that you'll be getting a programmer's headache during that whole process. We're going to be going over how to make that a lot easier for all of you Islanders, making AI more accessible to all of you. For those Islanders that are brand new to the channel, my name is William McKeon. I'm an electrical engineering student turned to the dark side of computer science, and you're watching Islander Robotics, where we believe in using Python to learn applications of artificial intelligence through demonstration. First things first, we need to import all the data sets that we'll be dealing with, as well as all the Python packages that we'll be using. So let me come over to this Jupyter notebook, hit this little plus button, and we're just gonna, I have it copied over, so we're just gonna paste it over. We're gonna be using the pandas Python package as well as irdatacleaning Python package. These two packages are going to allow us to correct the inconsistent data, and the two data sets we're going to be messing around with is a travel DF, which is a local one that we're going to have within my system, and then coffee URL is actually a data set over on GitHub, and only thing that coffee URL is really storing is a string for the URL address for that data set. So once we hit run, what we're going to do next is we're going to say coffee df equals pd dot CSV, and we're going to say coffee URL, and we're going to run that, allowing all the magic to begin with taking a look at the column names of our data set. More specifically, we're going to be looking at the column names of the coffee DF data set. This is a very good practice to get into, where you just, whenever you import a brand new data set, take a look at the column names. You're going to be surprised at what you'll be finding. Like, for instance, when we say coffee df dot columns, we're going to be getting a whole list of all the different column names within our data set. And more specifically, the reason why I decided to pick this one data set out of all the data sets in the whole wide world is because of how the creator decided to format the column names with more than one word within them. So for instance, lot number, it's separated by a period, where altitude, high, meters is separated, each word is separated by an underscore. So I personally am going to have a whole boatload of programmers' headaches later on down the road when I'm creating a model with this data set, as well as I can't really imagine how many other headaches is going to be caused because of this. So what we're going to be doing is making this change from periods to underscores. If I have the choice between the two, I'm going to pick underscores, and it's very simple to make this change. We're going to say origin, OR, equals a string of a period. Now we're going to say changed equals underscore. Now what we're going to want to do is create an instance of irdatacleaning dot inconsistent data class. So we're going to say coffee incon equals irdatacleaning dot, what is it, all the way down here, inconsistent data. Now we're going to be doing to pass into this class, we're going to say df equals coffee df, or whatever data set you're currently working on. We're going to hit enter. Once we hit enter, now we can actually start correcting the names of these data, well, of these column names. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to say coffee df equals coffee incon dot, what is it, column name, separating words. We're going to say this one right here, that's the one that we want, and we're going to pass in origin as well as changed. Once we've done that, bada bing, bada boom, now we can double check that the changes were actually made by just simply saying coffee df dot columns. Run that, and as you all can see, the format of these column names was changed correctly, allowing us to continue on to the next stage of correcting your inconsistent data. And alright, so we have corrected the formatting of all of our column names. We're not done with the columns just yet. The next thing I want to do is actually go in and just make sure that all the columns are within the same type of case. So I'm talking about like title case, uppercase, lowercase. So the way that we're going to be doing that is just simply coming over to a brand new cell, of course, and we're going to just say what is it, coffee df equals coffee ch, I can't spell, coffee incon dot, it's not separate, changing column cases. Now we're just going to go like that, and then bada bing, bada boom, to double check that the columns have been all correctly. Well, by default, actually, when you call upon this class, what's going to do is change all the title, or all the column names into title case. So if we were just to do coffee df dot columns, we would see that it's just all title case, which is exactly how it was before. But say we wanted to actually turn all these column names into full uppercase. So what we're going to do is just copy this line real quick, come over to a brand new line, and we're just going to say case equals upper. Once we do that, we're going to run it again. So let's actually just copy this line again. And as you all will be able to see, all the column names within our data set are now all uppercase. So what we're going to do is actually switch it back to title, because I personally like it to be all title case. This is kind of just something that about me being nitpicky about my data sets. You don't have to actually do this, but to me, this is just preventing a programmer's headache by just simply making sure that all the data set within, well, all the column names within our data set are all set to go. Next, what we're going to do is actually something that's going to also help you prevent a headache, which is double checking that there are no white spaces before or after the column names. And the way that we're going to be doing this is just simply coming over to this empty cell. We're going to say coffee df equals coffee incon dot column names white space. There's gonna be nothing going within these parentheses, and we're just going to hit enter. Now, to double check that there have been no major changes besides making sure that those white spaces are gone, we're just going to say coffee df dot columns. And as you all can see, there have been no really major changes on our column names. And the reason why you want to double check this is when you're going through each individual column name by hand, if there's a white space before or after that column name, it can actually cause you to have an error where it says, well, pandas tells you, hey, this column name does not exist. So by doing this, you're just making sure that all the column names are within the same exact format. And once we've done that and made sure that the format within our column names are all set and ready to go, we can actually get into the data within our data set. Now, a prime example of data within a data set that is inconsistent really is from the travel df. So what we're going to say is just come over to this empty cell, and just so you can see what we're going to be working with, because it's really one type of column that we want to be messing with. And we're just going to say travel df dot info. Once we do that, we're going to be running this file. Now, notice how we have a whole boatload of different types of columns, and really what we want to be messing around with that's going to have inconsistent data is going to be object type columns. So for instance, start time is considered an object type. Also, day of the week is another one, and that's where we're going to start focusing in on for the rest of today's video, where we're just going to come over to here. We're just going to say travel incon equals irdatacleaning dot where are you, inconsistent data, and we're going to pass in the travel df. All right, once we do that, bada bing bada boom, we're going to be running the file just like that. Now, to start making our very first types of corrections to this travel df, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get an idea of what type of values are being represented inside of the day of week column. So the way we're going to be able to do that is just by coming over this cell, and we're going to say travel df at column name day of week, just like that. And we're going to want to call upon the value underscore counts method. What's this going to do is actually return a pandas series, and it's going to show us all the various different data within our column. So it's going to just take a couple of seconds. So I'm going to see what the other end of this in. All right, and with that series, what you're going to all see is that white spaces is causing a havoc within our column. And the reason why I'm talking about it is that we're considering Wednesday, Friday, and Monday its own variable compared to when it should be originally called, which is up here. All right. So because of those white spaces, our program's actually seeing those 3 days of the week as its own value because of the white space at the beginning. The way that we're going to be able to correct this is just by coming over here, and we're going to say travel df equals travel incon dot, nope, we want, oh yeah, dot data white space. All right, once we do that, we're going to run this and make sure that all the changes work successfully created. What we're going to say is copy this line and then come over to here and then run that line. As you all can see, we are now have gotten rid of all those columns, well, all that piece of data that was considered its own data because of the white space at the beginning. But still, there's a decent amount of inconsistent data within this data set. And really the reason why I know that is because there should only be 5 answers to this values count. Instead, we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, essentially 10 extra columns. So the way we're going to be able to correct this is by creating a dictionary that we're going to call it correction. So COR equals a dictionary, and we're going to first of all create a key term of Wednesday right here. So we're going to copy this and we're going to come over to here, do this, and then we're going to set this key space to the correction that we want to make. So we want it to be this Wednesday. So copy that. Oh. And then the next key term we're going to have is this Tuesday right here. So copy this again. Oh wait, no. And then we're going to come to this Tuesday, copy you, giving us a column, well, giving us a dictionary that looks just like this. Now, once we have defined the dictionary with all the corrections we want to make, what we're going to want to do is also create a variable with the column name that we want these corrections added to. So we're going to say, let's just call it name equal, oh, not name dot, name equals day of week. Once we've done that, we can now say travel df equals travel incon dot, nope, correcting, and we're gonna say name comma corrections. Once we've done that, we can now run this line and we can now see if these changes have been successfully made by just saying, actually just copy and paste this. What am I doing? Copy you, bring you down here, and let's see. All the changes that we want to make actually successfully occurred. All right, and that's not the end of today's video. Why would I leave you all with all that code when essentially I came up with a way to shrink those 20 lines of code to about less than a third of that amount of time? So what we're going to do is first of all come over back to the Jupyter Lab notebook and just say what I got up on the screen right now. And essentially what we're doing is reinitializing all the important parts, like all the variables that we mentioned, all the packages that we imported, but we're not going to be calling upon each individual method like we did in the previous section of today's video, not code. What we're going to be doing instead is calling upon the check method. The check method is going to be able to do all the necessary parts that we just went over, all condensed to really just one line, and that one line can be separated into 2 different sections, which is what you're seeing right here with the coffee DF and the travel DF. Now, what I mean by 2 sections, well, if we look at the coffee DF, if you remember correctly, all the corrections we were making were to the column names. And the way that we're going to be able to make those corrections is just by saying separating words equals true. Meaning we want to change the format of how our column names were, the words within our column names were separated. Once we do that, we're going to want to specify what specific origin we're going to want to do by saying origin equals the origin of the format that we're going to be changing from. Now, once that's done, what we're going to be doing is also specifying what is the new format that we want our column names to be in. So corrections equals changed. Now, as of right now, case is by default equal to title. You can change this to upper or lower by just simply typing in upper or lower. And right now, what I was about to say is that there is no way to actually essentially opt out of this section of the code where all the words within your column names are going to be in title case, uppercase, or full lowercase. I'm going to leave a code down description bar down below once I've made the correct changes to the code so that you can opt out. So go ahead and check out the description bar down below if you're wondering on how to be able to make those changes. If it's not there currently, it will be up soon. Now, if you want to make corrections to the data within the data set, what we're going to want to do is actually come down to travel df. We're going to say travel df equals travel icon dot check, and we're going to say correcting equals true, meaning we want to make corrections to the data within our data set. Once we have specified that, we're going to specify the column name that we want to make these corrections to, which in our case is going to be name, which is day of week. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is actually specify the dictionary that's going to have all the corrections that we want to make, which in our case is going to be corrections. Once we've done that, let's run the code. It's going to take a couple of seconds, but while that's going on, what we're going to say is coffee df.columns. That's going to make sure that all the columns, well, not dfx, df. That's just going to make sure that all the column names have been all corrected exactly how we want. Now, the next thing we're going to do is check to make sure that all the corrections within day of week was successfully done by just saying travel df day of week. Oh, I didn't do the correct one. Dot value count. Let's run this, and then what's the problem? Oh, I didn't put the dot. Put the dot right there, run that, and it's going to be giving us a whole series on what it's going to give us again the series of all the values within this one column, and it looks like everything is successfully done. Now, say you do not feel comfortable to be doing all the corrections that we were talking about in today's video. Don't feel overwhelmed. I got your back. What you're going to want to do is actually just, instead of saying calling upon the check, you're going to want to just say travel df equals travel icon dot auto check. This has no input argument, but the software is going to walk you through making all the corrections to your data set that you can get rid of inconsistent data within your data set. Now, something I kind of just thought of, well, not really thought of, but something I want to start implementing with all the Python packages and modules that come from this community is I want to have a resource method like what we got for travel icon.resources. Within this resource method, when you call upon it, it's going to output two print statements, and they're both going to have a URL. One URL is going to be to the YouTube video that you're all currently watching for that specific method. So for the inconsistent data method, the URL for this specific video is going to be right here. All right. Now, underneath that is going to be a GitHub link to the repository for the specific method. For the specific module. Within that module, you're going to be seeing a how-to on how to specifically use this module, and it's going to allow you to also, if there's any issues that you come across, to put in a issue statement for that specific module. So go ahead and check out the description bar down below to get the pip command so you can get your own version of this Python package on your system. For those conda developers, don't worry, there is a conda command down description bar down below so that you'll be able to install irdatacleaning within your conda environment. Before I sign off, I want to ask you all to leave a comment down the description bar down below, not in the description bar, down in the comment section down below on whether or not you think you're going to be checking for inconsistent data more often. If not, please explain why down below as well. Go ahead and check out the videos coming up on the screen right now to learn more about artificial intelligence. As always, happy coding, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.